Welcome to What Are You Reading? A podcast with the Public Library of Mount Vernon in Knox County. My name is Christie.
And I'm Katie.
And today we're going to actually talk about some spooky stuff. It's October. We have to. And personally, super excited. I'm sure you can tell from some of my other choices, but this is my favorite kind of genre to read. So I picked Goblin by Josh Malerman. It's a collection of short stories, which we also haven't talked about yet.
No, we haven't.
So I thought that might be something cool and different for us to do. And what did you pick this month?
I picked the Cozy Mystery series, Mrs. Morris. Well, the series is called Salem B&B Mystery, but they all are Mrs. Morris and the...
I mean, for ambiance, it's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. But that's kind of fun because you've got something that's a little bit more lighthearted, still spooky, which I love.
Yep. For those who aren't familiar, Cozy Mysteries are a little bit cleaner version of they're not necessarily scary. But they have the if there is a murder, it's not graphic. They usually have a particular theme going with them. A lot of them have those pun names. For Mrs. Morris, she is a widow who relocates to Salem, Massachusetts, and is opening up a B&B.
Okay.
And she discovers in the first book that she is not alone.
Ooh.
She has a good-looking doctor ghost that lives with her. And she adopts this, this cat adopts her. And her name is Silva, and she's got her own little attitude.
Oh, so cute.
And because it takes place in Salem, there are otherworldly things in play.
Okay.
So we start with the ghost, and then there's the witch, the ghost of Christmas past, the sorceress,
fun.
And the most recent one came out in August, and it's the vampire. I haven't finished it yet, but
exciting.
I've read the other 4, and they're all cute. You get a lot of good, interesting stories, interesting people, and I am anxious to have you read them because I know you've been to Salem, so you can tell me how accurate the authors portrayed Salem. And
that's exciting.
Yeah. And even the author's name is Tracy Wilton, but it's actually 2 authors.
Okay.
They are, let me look at their names are Patrice Wilton and Tracy Hall.
Oh,
so
that's
cute.
They
write together, and they took one first name and one last name, put it together for the author.
That's really cool. Okay. So we have a pair writing.
Yeah, and another thing that's interesting about it is it does go into, because you're in Salem, there are a lot of witches around, but not the cackly Wizard of Oz type of witches. More along the lines of, not necessarily Wicca, but kind of in that realm. So you do get some interesting information about what they believe and some of the things that they do. So I found that really interesting, along with the little bit of romance in the story as well. There's a little bit of a love triangle between Mrs. Morris, her name's Charlene, between Charlene and the ghost who's named Jack, and the I think he's the chief of police.
Okay.
So and I can't remember his name because it's always Jack always refers to him as like your detective or your policeman. So you don't get his name very much.
Detecting a hint of jealousy there.
There's definitely jealousy, and Jack is one of kind of like the ghosts from the movie Ghost.
Okay.
Charlene so far is the only one who can see him, but he can move objects.
Ooh.
And one of the things that he really likes to do is he'll talk to Charlene when there are other people in the room, because he's trying to get her to talk to him and maybe look a little crazy.
Oh gosh.
And in the Ghost of Christmas Past, Charlene's mother comes to visit, and she's a really hands-on, controlling mom. So Jack likes to move her slippers, or there was one time she woke up and her bed was levitating.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, so he's got some pretty good powers.
Yeah. It takes a lot out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And the unfortunate part is he is bound to the house and the grounds. So he cannot leave. And that's how the first book starts out, trying to figure out, because he was murdered. The first murder they try to solve is Jack's.
Wow. Okay.
In attempt to him crossing over
Mm-hmm.
and not being stuck in the house anymore.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds really, really good. And yeah, I'd be interested to see how much of like the actual setting is fantasy and how much is based in reality. I also like that this is a series that, yes, especially right now, perfect timing. But we even have a Christmas book in here. So this is something you can read, a series you can pick up and read throughout the year.
Yeah, absolutely. The first book kind of takes place about a month before Halloween, a couple months before Halloween, because she wants to open her B&B on Halloween night.
Sure. Get all of that tourist
money.
Right.
Yeah. And the sorceress one is Halloween a year later, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the vampire one is Halloween.
Halloween a year later. Cool.
So yeah.
Oh, it sounds really good. And yeah, I can't wait to pick it up. I'm really interested in something that sounds kind of cute. It's spooky. We've got murder. I'm a big Murder, She Wrote fan. Mm-hmm. So it sounds kind of
and it's very...
that vibe.
Yeah, it's very Murder, She Wrote in that you find the body. Okay. That's pretty much as graphic as it gets.
Okay, cool.
It's like, and she finds a body.
And I love that. I mean, like last month we just talked about Babysitter, true crime, where we had some really gory details, some really gruesome stuff. I'll get into how gruesome Goblin is here in a minute, but I feel like that's a really nice kind of break from some of the more heavy, like horror type stuff. So cozy mystery, spooky vibe, something really nice you can just pick up and enjoy.
Yep. It's got a little bit of everything in it.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, now put it on my TBR.
Okay, good.
Which I got some room now, so I need to like slow down on my audiobooks and actually pick one of those up and read a physical book. So I just picked this up. This actually came out in May of this year, May 2021. I read it as soon as it came out because I'm a big Josh Malerman fan. So if some of our listeners or viewers out there might be familiar with Bird Box, which was a big hit on Netflix with Sandra Bullock, stuff like that. He wrote that. He's got several other books and novellas that I've loved. So when I heard he was coming out with a short story, 6-story novella collection, of course, super excited for it. It is about the town of Goblin. And it is a town that we're on the East Coast. We have really odd things happening. They have the largest amount of rainfall of anywhere in the States. It's a heavy rain. It gets dark very quickly there. All of these things that over time have grown into these legends. So we get a lot of legends about first settlers being cursed there. That kind of thing that's causing all of these strange things to happen. A couple of my favorite stories, I'll just give you little hints, no spoilers. But one of my favorite stories is called A Man in Slices.
Okay.
And
intriguing.
Yes. So I will just say that there is a relationship where a girlfriend asks for signs of devotion that might be, say, Van Gogh level.
Oh.
So we've got we've got that. We have a man that is so afraid of ghosts that he has completely knocked down all of the walls in his apartment, has lit every corner of his room, sleeps on a plexiglass bed.
Oh, wow.
So that he can see underneath it, because he's so afraid of being scared to death. And he thinks that ghosts would be the way that he would be scared to death.
Okay.
What I really enjoy is that all of these stories are intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
So, say in A Man in Slices, the story has a person sitting in a car and something happens. Well, they get out of the car, they slam the door. Our next story picks up with this person hearing the slamming of the door and getting up to look out. So I really like that we have this like interconnection between the stories. And yes, everything's happening in this small town, but one will lead into another with some sort of little weird coincidence or acknowledgement that everything's happening in this one small town.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's not just a random collection of short stories that the authors come up with.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I tend to not do short stories, because it is kind of like, well, here's just a bunch of stuff that I wrote down. And I didn't have enough to do a novel, so here you go.
Yeah.
But I love that when an author can take something that they've already written, or in this case is in the process of writing, and then tying them all together in a way that isn't one thing. With my books, it's real obvious because it does the first couple pages of like, this is her and this is what she does. But I bet in Goblin, it's a little more it's a little more subtle.
Yes. Absolutely. Like I said, it can be like this most minute of detail that you remember reading that, and then, oh, this person walks by the store where something nefarious might have just happened, and then you're picking up with their story. So I really appreciated that, and he is such a smart writer. There's a lot of comparisons to Stephen King. I completely understand, and that is a huge compliment. And but yeah, absolutely. There's just this level of storytelling that is so engaging. You fall right in. The detailing is so lush that he's able to accomplish some scares that even get me. And I'm a big horror fan. It takes a lot to surprise me. So he actually pulls it off a couple times in here. So I couldn't put it down, which was great. And this was my second reread, and I still love it. So I 10 out of 10 do recommend.
That's definitely a compliment, that you know that a book is good because you want to read it more than once.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I miss things that I needed to go back and reread. And of course, like, I have to say, like, this cover, fantastic, right? Like, and this is one of the short stories. There's this amazing mansion. There's this older man who's lost his family, builds this hedge maze. No one's ever been able to solve it until this little girl comes along.
Wow.
And finds out what's at the heart of the maze. So, there's a lot here to get interested in. It's the perfect time of year to pick up something like this. And
yeah, I love the tagline, every small town has its ways.
Oh, yes.
Like,
absolutely.
Pretty much all of us are from a small town.
We are, around here we really are.
Yeah.
So, those towns with the 3 stoplights, like, not kidding, right? Like, so yeah, there's a lot in here where you're like, yeah, absolutely. We all know each other. We are connected. Oh, this person went to school with this person, and this, everything is connected. And I love that. So there's a little bit of something in here for everyone. But I will say there's some gore. It's more on the horror side, so I think that's what's great about what we picked, because there's something for everybody.
Yeah. And would you say it's kind of on par with like Stephen King type horror?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I would definitely say so. He does a really good job of not going over the top. So he's always been kind of a more cerebral horror. type. So Unburied Carol's another good example where someone is buried alive, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this again there were some places, but a lot of it was that idea of like in camp being scared to death, right? So a lot of
the anticipation is scarier than the actual
absolutely.
What happens.
The buildup was really. I would also say like this reminds me of R.L. Stein too.
Oh, okay.
At reading those as a kid, growing up on R.L. Stein, where you've got a lot of buildup and you're getting really excited and what's going to happen. You know, he's really good at that too. So you're building and building and building, and then you've got this crescendo at the end. And since these are short stories, it makes it a page turner.
Yeah. You've got 6 buildups.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess that means it's probably time for us to go.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you guys so much for joining us again for another episode. Look forward to next month. We're going to feature another staff member who's also an author. So be on the lookout for that in November. Like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And we will see you next time. Thanks.